Hi, my name is Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss the news that Boris Johnson, who'd already blighted the life of Nazanin Nazghari-Ratcliffe, a mother with part British citizenship, because he opened his mouth a few years ago as Foreign Secretary, causing her to be unjustly incarcerated in Iran for years, has heaped further delays upon her release, which could be imminent, but is not going to be, in order to grovel at President Trump's feet once again. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So, Zaghari-Ratcliffe is a British Iranian citizen, and she was visiting her family some years ago, and was then charged with espionage, as often happens when you go to Iran with British citizenship. And she has now spent, since then, 4 years in an Iranian prison, and has since been released into house arrest in Tehran. So she's still in custody. The situation may have passed at the time with a bit of a show trial, a slap on the wrist, and release after some wrangling years ago, had we had a more intelligent foreign secretary in charge of matters. Unfortunately for her, we had Boris Johnson in charge at the time. And he had said that the reason she was in the country, instead of saying she was just visiting family, for goodness sake, because that's what she was doing. No. He said, well, she was only in the country training journalists. She wasn't. But it hardly mattered. To the paranoid Iranian authorities, what they heard was, oh, she was here to teach people how to write and publish stories to paint the Iranian leaders in a bad light. That's what you're saying. Right, lock her up. And here we are. Years later, she remains separated from her husband and child after years of unjust imprisonment. But now Boris Johnson has the chance, not so much to make amends, because, how do you make amends for that level of stupid and, stealing 5 years of someone's life? But at least the chance to bring her back and end the nightmare. The UK owes a debt of some £400 million for an arms deal with Iran. We owe it. That's what we owe. It's nothing to do with Zaghari-Ratcliffe. It's not part of a plea bargain. It's not a sum of money being demanded for the release. It's not payment or anything. It's what we lawfully owe anyway, and we will have to pay. And paying it now, we should have paid it some time ago. Paying it now would trigger the release of her and others held in custody as well. And yet Boris Johnson's government is hesitating, in fact, coming up with excuses not to pay this money. Why? Because the orange one in the White House is trying to distract from his own impotence yet again by stoking tensions with Iran. He doesn't want the UK to pay Iran its dues, and Boris Johnson's government is dutifully complying. And that is the reason. That is it. Nothing else. There's no other politics involved here. And Johnson supporters can piss off right now about him being the one to deliver this take back control bollocks. This is the British Prime Minister refusing to pay our debt, lawfully owed, which needs to be paid regardless. At the end of all the court cases, they're going to tell us we need to pay it. And we will have looked like we've tried to get out of it. What does that do to our international reputation, rather? We're refusing to pay this debt. It's got nothing to do with any other political issues, but it is a debt that would be part of measures that would trigger the release of people with part British citizenship who are being kept unfairly captive in Iran. And he's not doing it. And the reason is absolutely vital. The reason that he's not doing it is because he needs to get permission from the most unhinged president in United States history. He needs Trump's permission. That's not taking back control. That's taking it up the arse. And don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that, a strong leader will always have it our way or come what may. That's the Brexiteer attitude. I understand international diplomacy at times. There are going to be leaders, even good leaders, that will now and then have to sort of acquiesce to a much stronger nation at times on certain issues in the national interest. This is just craven, however. There are countries that are much smaller and less powerful than the UK that would have told Trump to piss off over this. In fact, many have done so. Lawyers for Zaghari-Ratcliffe have noted that You know, there's ongoing High Court case over this debt, and the next hearing has been delayed until November the 4th. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you, or maybe just the Americans, who will be well aware of what that date is, will be aware that that is the day after the presidential election, which takes place on November the 3rd. Presumably, the government would like to see if Biden wins, because if he does, and it's a clear win and Trump can't be awkward about it, then although, you know, Trump would still be President Tiny Hands for a couple more months, it would be nonetheless safe to incur his wrath because, well, he's in the lame duck period where you are definitely not going to be president in a couple of months' time, where there are no long-term consequences for annoying him. At which point, you would presume that Boris Johnson at that point will drop all their objections, congratulate Biden, get on the phone to Iran and sort it all out, arrange for their release, and months or even years later than it could have done had it acted as you would have expected a strong government acting in the national interest and the interests of their citizens to act. I mean, is there any other issue, any at all that you can think of, that so perfectly encapsulates the callous disregard for human life, the craven bootlicking, the dishonesty, the cavalier attitude to the effects of his pronouncements on our country's international standing, and the impotence of Boris Johnson than the continued custody of Zaghari-Ratcliffe? Because, you know, when you look at other cock-ups, you can sort of see some of those attributes in it, and it exposes certain aspects to his character and other ones expose others. This one seemed to expose everything. It's the whole nest of vipers in one. Every bit of weakness about Boris Johnson, every bit of callousness, every bit of stupidity is all perfectly encapsulated in this failure, because this should be a relatively straightforward thing to do. You know, the damage has been done anyway. Just get her back. He knows how to get her back. The path is clear. At the end of the day, what does he even hope to gain by grovelling at Trump? Even if Trump won the next presidential election, what does he hope to gain? We're not gaining from our association with Trump. We haven't gained and we're not going to gain. It does us no good. It's pointless. But there it is. Unfortunately, people are going to have to continue to suffer because of this buffoon in number 10 acquiescing to the orange one in the White House. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. And if you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.